You've tried the gym. You went 3 times, maybe 4, and then life happened. The alarm went off and your body said no. The commute ate the morning. The kids needed something. The motivation that felt so real on Sunday night was completely gone by Tuesday, and the belly fat stayed exactly where it was. Here's what nobody told you. The gym was never the requirement. It was just the assumption. Your body does not need an hour on a treadmill to burn visceral fat. It doesn't need a membership, a trainer, or a perfectly scheduled morning. What it needs is 10 minutes. Not 10 minutes of walking in place. Not 10 minutes of half-hearted stretching. 10 minutes of the right movements, in the right order, triggering the exact hormonal cascade that tells your body to go after the fat stored around your organs. And before you dismiss that, before your brain says, 10 minutes can't possibly do anything, I need you to hear this. Because that instinct is the reason most people never lose the belly. They keep chasing the harder thing, the longer thing, the more impressive thing, when the biology was pointing somewhere else the entire time. Meet Sarah, 39 years old, 2 kids. She'd been doing 45-minute cardio sessions 4 days a week for 8 months. The scale barely moved. The belly fat held on like it had a lease. She wasn't lazy. She wasn't cheating. She was doing what everyone told her to do, and her body was fighting her every single step of the way. Here's why. When you exercise for a long time at moderate intensity, your body does something you don't want it to do. It raises cortisol. Not a little, significantly. And cortisol does 2 very specific things to belly fat. First, it tells your body to preserve it. Visceral fat, the deep fat around your organs, has more cortisol receptors than any other fat in your body. It literally responds to cortisol by holding tighter. Second, elevated cortisol increases an enzyme called lipoprotein lipase, which doesn't just protect existing belly fat, it actively pulls more fat into the abdominal region for storage. So Sarah's 45 minutes of cardio was accidentally signaling her body to keep the belly fat. Not because she was doing something wrong, because the duration itself was the problem. Now here's the biology nobody explains clearly enough. Your body has a molecular switch called AMPK, adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase. Think of AMPK as your body's fuel emergency alarm. When it gets flipped on, your body stops storing fat and starts burning it. Not the fat under your skin, the deep visceral fat. The dangerous kind. The kind that sits around your liver and pancreas and makes your waistband tighter every year. AMP gets activated by intensity, not duration. A hard 10 minutes flips that switch louder than a slow 45 minutes. The signal is not about time. It's about the metabolic demand per minute. But there's a second player, growth hormone. When you do brief, compound, high-effort movement, your pituitary gland releases a pulse of growth hormone within minutes. Growth hormone directly mobilizes visceral fat. It basically tells your fat cells to open up and release their contents into the bloodstream to be burned. But, and this is the part that changes everything, growth hormone is suppressed by cortisol. The longer you exercise, the more cortisol rises, and the more you blunt your own growth hormone response. 10 minutes of hard compound movement keeps cortisol low and growth hormone high. That combination, AMP gone, growth hormone elevated, cortisol controlled, is the exact biological environment where visceral fat gets dismantled. Sarah switched to 10 minutes. Within 3 weeks, her waistband was loose. Not because she worked harder, because she worked correctly. Your body is not broken. It has been responding exactly the way biology designed it to respond. The only problem was the signal you were sending. And in the next few minutes, you're going to learn the exact signal that changes that. Here's your protocol. 5 movements, 2 minutes each. No equipment, no gym, no excuses left. The movements were not chosen randomly. Every single one was selected because it recruits the largest muscle groups in your body simultaneously. Your legs, your glutes, your chest, your back, your core. The more muscle tissue activated at once, the louder the AMP signal. The louder the signal, the faster the visceral fat mobilization begins. Movement 1. Squats. Your quadriceps are the largest single muscle in your body. Your glutes are the most powerful. When you combine them in a squat, you're activating more metabolic tissue in one movement than almost any other exercise on earth. 2 minutes of squats, not shuffling, not leisurely, with intention, chest up, hips below parallel, driving through your heels, creates a metabolic demand your body cannot ignore. It doesn't have a choice. AMP flips on like a light switch. Movement 2. Push-ups. Not because push-ups are a classic, because they force your chest, shoulders, triceps, and your entire core to contract simultaneously. Your body thinks it's under structural load. It recruits accordingly. 2 minutes of push-ups, modified on your knees if needed, but with full engagement, continues the AMP signal and begins elevating your heart rate into the zone where growth hormone release becomes inevitable. Movement 3. Glute bridges. Lie on your back, feet flat. Drive your hips toward the ceiling and squeeze at the top like you're trying to crack a walnut. Hold for 1 second. Lower. Repeat for 2 minutes. The glute bridge is not a gentle move. It's a direct activation of your posterior chain, your glutes, hamstrings, and lower back, which is the largest concentration of fast-twitch muscle fibers below your waist. Fast-twitch fibers have a disproportionate impact on GLUT4 translocation. GLUT4 is the protein that pulls glucose out of your bloodstream and into your muscle cells. When GLUT4 is active, glucose goes to muscle. When it's inactive, glucose goes to fat. Glute bridges are essentially a biological rerouting system for your blood sugar. Movement 4. Standing marches. Stand tall. Drive your knee to hip height. Alternate rapidly for 2 minutes. This is not rest. This is active core stabilization, combined with cardiovascular demand. Your hip flexors, your transverse abdominis, the deep core muscle that wraps around your organs like a corset, and your lower back, all engaged to keep you upright and controlled. Visceral fat sits behind that transverse abdominis wall. Activating it repeatedly creates direct mechanical pressure on the fat tissue beneath it and signals locally increased blood flow to the region. More blood flow to visceral fat means more fatty acid release. Movement 5. Static core hold. Get into a plank position or a seated V hold. Hold for 2 minutes. Do not collapse. Do not rest. If you need to break, reset in 5 seconds and continue. The static hold forces your entire trunk musculature to maintain continuous tension, which keeps your heart rate elevated without the ballistic demand of the previous movements, giving your body a chance to sustain the hormonal environment you've built without spiking cortisol at the finish line. 10 minutes. That's the protocol. Now here's the part that most fitness content never tells you. The same 10 minutes produces a measurably different hormonal response depending on when you perform it. And this is not a minor detail. This is a complete game changer. If you perform this protocol in the morning, on an empty stomach, before you eat anything, AMP activation goes through the roof. Here's why. When you wake up, your glycogen stores are partially depleted from your body's overnight metabolic work. When you exercise in that depleted state, your body has no glycogen to use as fuel. It has no choice but to reach directly into fat stores. Not subcutaneous fat first, visceral fat first. Because visceral fat is metabolically active, it releases its contents faster, and it responds to AMP and growth hormone more immediately than the fat under your skin. Think of morning fasted exercise like this. Your body is a fire. Overnight, the easy fuel, the dry wood, has mostly burned. What's left is the dense log in the center. When you exercise fasted, you're forcing that dense log to catch fire. That dense log is your belly fat. But if morning doesn't work for your schedule, if you have kids to feed or a commute to catch, the post-meal version is not just a consolation prize. It is a completely different weapon, aimed at a completely different target. When you eat a meal, especially one with carbohydrates, your blood glucose rises. Your pancreas releases insulin to bring it back down. Insulin's job is to move glucose out of the blood and into cells. Here's the problem. If your muscle cells are insulin resistant, and after years of sedentary patterns, most people's are, that glucose doesn't go to muscle. It goes to fat, specifically belly fat, because visceral fat tissue has high insulin sensitivity, even when muscles don't. This is the loop that keeps people trapped. They eat, their blood sugar rises, their muscles refuse the glucose, their belly fat takes it. Repeat, 3 times a day, for years. GLUT4 breaks that loop. When you perform compound movement within 30 to 45 minutes after a meal, you force your muscle cells to activate GLUT4 transporters. These are like doorways in your muscle cell membrane that open up and let glucose walk straight in, bypassing insulin entirely. Insulin-independent glucose clearance. Your muscles take the glucose that would have gone to fat storage, and they use it for energy instead. The belly fat doesn't get the delivery. The muscle does. Think of your muscles after a meal as a locked warehouse. Insulin is supposed to be the key, but if the lock is broken, if your cells are resistant, the delivery trucks reroute to fat storage by default. GLUT4 activation is like someone manually opening the warehouse doors from the inside, regardless of whether the key works. The trucks go where you want them to go. This is why timing matters. Morning protocol. Fasted. AMP multiplied. Visceral fat directly mobilized. Post-meal protocol. GLUT4 activated. Glucose rerouted. Belly fat cut off from its fuel supply. Same 10 minutes. 2 completely different biological weapons. You get to choose which one you use based on your actual life. Here's your exact 2-option system. Morning protocol. The AMP amplifier. Wake up. Before coffee. Before breakfast. Before anything. Perform the 5-movement sequence. If your schedule allows it, wait 30 to 60 minutes before eating. In that window, your body is burning visceral fat aggressively. Growth hormone is elevated. Cortisol is low. AMP is screaming. You are running on stored fat as fuel, and the primary source being recruited is the fat around your organs. Post-meal protocol. The GLUT4 gate. Eat your meal. Set a timer. Within 30 to 45 minutes. Not an hour, not 2 hours. Perform the 5-movement sequence. The goal here is not maximum calorie burn. The goal is to intercept the blood glucose spike before it gets converted to fat. You are essentially installing a detour. Glucose that would have been stored around your organs instead fuels the muscle contractions happening in real time. Your belly fat is not being mobilized. It's being cut off from new supply. Both protocols work. Both protocols take exactly 10 minutes. The choice between them is not about which is better, it's about which fits your day. And here's the truth that most fitness advice never gives you. Consistency with the less optimal timing beats occasional compliance with the perfect timing every single time. 10 minutes after dinner, every day, will erase more belly fat than a perfect morning protocol done twice a week. Your body does not reward perfection, it rewards repetition. Now let me tell you about David. 52 years old, software engineer, desk job. He'd carried the same belly fat for 11 years. He'd tried intermittent fasting, worked briefly, stopped working. He'd tried cutting carbs, miserable, unsustainable. He tried a gym membership, used it 6 times, felt embarrassed, stopped going. He thought the problem was his willpower. He thought the problem was his age. He thought the problem was his metabolism slowing down as he got older. None of those things were the problem. The problem was that nobody had ever told him what his body actually needed. His AMP switch had barely been flipped in over a decade. His GLUT4 transporters were dormant from years of sitting. His cortisol from chronic work stress was high, which meant any exercise that also raised cortisol was working against him before he even started. David started the post-meal protocol because mornings were impossible with his work schedule. 10 minutes after lunch. That was it. Every day, not every other day. No gym, no equipment. His desk at work has a small empty hallway 20 feet long. That's where he did it. Within 6 days, his after-meal energy crashes. The ones that had made him reach for coffee at 3 p.m. for a decade were gone. His blood glucose was being redirected to muscle instead of fat. Within 3 weeks, his trousers fit differently. Not dramatically, but differently. Within 8 weeks, 11 years of stubborn belly fat had visibly reduced. Not because David unlocked some secret discipline, because David's body finally received the correct signal. That signal was always available. His body was not broken. It was waiting. And here is the most important thing I can tell you as you close this video. Every failed diet, every abandoned gym membership, every morning you hit snooze instead of working out, none of that was a character flaw. All of it was biology. Your body was responding to the signals it received. Cortisol kept your fat locked. Insulin resistance kept rerouting glucose to storage. Depleted motivation was your nervous system protecting you from a cortisol overload it couldn't afford. You were not weak. You were simply sending the wrong signal. You now know the right one. AMPK, GLUT4, low cortisol, brief compound movement at the right time, 10 minutes. The equipment is your own body. The gym is wherever you're standing right now. Your body is not broken. It was just waiting for the right signal, and now you have it. If this explains something you've been experiencing, if you recognized your own story in what I just described, comment below with the word reset. I want to know exactly how many of you this is happening to, because if it's what I think it is, the next video I make will go even deeper into the exact foods and timing combinations that accelerate everything we just talked about. Drop reset below. Let's find out.